Welcome aboard, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for this educational session, specifically on MQTT and IIoT. Two industry terms that you may not know a lot about right now, but which you may have seen or heard recently. My name is Grant Chastain, and as one of the primary training specialists with CyberMetrics Corporation, I'm pleased to be your moderator for today's session. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for allowing us to be a part of your day. For today's interview, I'm fortunate to be joined by Devin Ellis, the Chief Technology Officer with CyberMetrics Corporation. Devin's not only one of the primary architects of CyberMetrics Corporation's flagship applications, GAGEtrak and FaciliWorks, he also has nearly 30 years of experience in the technical measurement and industrial spaces and in spearheading technologies that are geared towards manufacturing, aerospace, pharmaceutical, and the medical industries. Devin, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
All right, Grant, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I guess let's get to it just right out of the gate. Can you tell us a little bit about MQTT? A lot of people may not necessarily know what that is or what it can do.
Sure. Yeah, MQTT is something that many people probably have been using or utilizing without really being aware of it. Message queuing telemetry transport is a lightweight messaging protocol. It's used extensively in the Internet of Things. So it's designed for constrained devices and low bandwidth or high latency networks, making it ideal for connecting devices like sensors, actuators, and other embedded systems. MQTT operates on a publish subscribe model, which separates it from a lot of other integration tools. The publish subscribe is where devices or clients can publish messages to a broker, and other clients can subscribe to specific topics to receive those messages.
Okay, so I know I've heard the term Internet of Things or IoT, and I'm sure that some of the people on today's session have heard about that as well, but can you tell us a little bit more about the Internet of Things or the IoT?
Absolutely. So the Internet of Things, the IoT, refers to it's a network of physical objects or things. They're embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies that enable them to connect, collect, and exchange data. Essentially, it's about making everyday objects smart and interconnected, allowing them to communicate with each other and with us.
Okay, can you maybe give us some examples of those types of devices then?
Sure. So physical objects, these can range from simple devices like light bulbs and thermostats to more complex ones like vehicles and industrial machinery. Also, equipment sensors. These components collect data about the physical world, such as temperature, motion, or light levels. These smart or IoT devices, they use various technologies like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or cellular networks to transmit the data over internet.
And because so many of our users access their tools in a manufacturing style setting, can you maybe shed some light on how MQTT and IoT relate to manufacturing or how it's used in that kind of environment?
Sure. So IIoT, which is Industrial Internet of Things, it optimizes manufacturing processes, which can predict equipment failures, control and monitor temperatures and security systems remotely, and improve supply chain management. I mean, that's just to name a few.
Okay. So I know that we mentioned IoT and now we've mentioned IIoT. Since we mentioned both of them and there may be a little bit of confusion about the two of them, can you give us an idea what the difference is between those? Because they're not always interchangeable, right?
No, and that's a great question. And that's probably one of the things that might trip people up, because IoT was introduced and anyone who had heard of it, understood it was the Internet of Things. But the Industrial Internet of Things, they're both networks of interconnected devices, but they differ in their focus and their application. IoT generally refers to consumer-oriented devices like smart home appliances, wearables, and entertainment systems, whereas IIoT, on the other hand, is a subset of IoT specifically tailored for industrial applications such as manufacturing, energy management, and transportation. So they differ greatly in their application. And the IoT is probably what our audience is most familiar with because they're using those every day, their smartphones and their devices. But in industrial, there's a little, it's moving a little slower there, and probably people are seeing a little less adoption of the IoT, or IIoT rather.
Okay, all right, so that makes sense. But from a technological perspective, can you give us an idea of how that would work?
Sure. So in IoT, you picture some sensors located around a physical environment. So the sensors gather information from that physical environment, and they transmit that data to a central system or platform via a network connection where the data is all collected. So this data can be analyzed to identify patterns, anomalies, and early detection of issues, and it can provide opportunities for improvement. So imagine a system where, say, a measurement device or equipment could communicate that it was near its calibration limits, or your calibration software itself could communicate changes in gauges and information directly to your production systems that could trigger specific actions. So based on the analysis or the data points collected, those systems can trigger those actions, such as adjusting temperature, or sending alerts, or optimizing resource usage, or even recognizing when a maintenance and calibration should be performed.
So, in terms of those alerts, I mean, obviously there's some intrinsic benefits in that. Can you talk a little bit more about some of those benefits for organizations that use that technology?
Absolutely. So the real benefits are the automation and real-time data analysis that can lead to significant improvements in your productivity and cost savings. Those all improve efficiency, basically. It can also help by optimizing industrial processes or improving your productivity and reducing costs along those lines. So having devices like temperature gauges and sensors that self-report provides added convenience, and it can improve overall safety and security. Greater sustainability can be achieved by optimizing those resources or reducing labor or in replacement costs for those devices, and also really in reducing waste. So IIoT can aid in many ways in industrial manufacturing. It can aid in predictive maintenance, asset tracking and calibration, supply chain management, and even energy optimization. So it's a lot of areas of manufacture that it can touch and have a great impact on.
Ah, that's super interesting, especially in terms of the optimization within companies. I know we're all kind of looking at ways to be able to accomplish just additional optimization within everything that
Absolutely.
we're doing.
Yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit about CyberMetrics software and how it currently utilizes MQTT and IIoT, and is that across every offering that CyberMetrics has?
Yeah, so we currently have in GAGEtrak, both editions of GAGEtrak version 8, our calibration management software, GAGEtrak Pro and GAGEtrak Lite, they can both utilize MQTT. We also have a broker and subscriber product that's companion products for those. Okay, so the GAGEtrak broker, the MQTT broker, is a companion product to GAGEtrak Pro calibration management software. Okay, so once it's configured in your MQTT ecosystem, the GAGEtrak client can publish event-based access changes or event-based changes to data made within the GAGEtrak application. So changes to the gauge's status, changes to its calibration date, etc. So when you install a broker on a host machine in your network and configure the GAGEtrak clients to publish data, the broker can process that information and send it to any subscriber in your environment. So the GAGEtrak broker and the MQTT publisher component located in the GAGEtrak client were designed to work together. However, the GAGEtrak broker can be made to work with other publishers and subscribers in your ecosystem as well. MQTT and IoT will both be available in FaciliWorks, so we can talk about those at a later time, but GAGEtrak right now has that capability for customers who are interested in implementing MQTT, or especially for customers who already have an MQTT environment or ecosystem. They can utilize that GAGEtrak product today.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Devin. I really do appreciate you having an opportunity
No
to go
problem.
through this. And thank you to everybody out there. We did have some questions that came in just organically over the span of this webinar. And the first question that we ended up getting was from Jerry. Thank you so much for being patient. Jerry M's question was, what problem does MQTT actually solve for us?
That's a good question. All right, so we talked about a little bit of this during the webinar. I did mention MQTT is real simple. It's a real low bandwidth protocol, and it's best known for breaking down data silos. It enables real-time communication between systems. So I think in the framework of the question, Jerry, the biggest thing that MQTT, or the biggest problem it solves for you, is in delivering your, let's say, your gauge and calibration information. It delivers it immediately to anyone in your plant that needs it, and it's up-to-date information. MQTT is strong in that it triggers immediately. So I go in and I make a change to a record, and it's something that gets published. It's a topic that we publish and that other items subscribe to. That data is instantaneously published out to the subscribers. So it's very strong in that regard, and the problem it solves, again, is breaking down the data silos. It's getting data from various systems in your plant that are in the MQTT ecosystem. It's getting that data and it's collecting it at one point where it can be utilized and distributed where it's needed most. So I think that kind of covers it.
Outstanding. Thanks there, Devin, so much for that. And I had another question that came in from P. Sueza. Thanks for throwing it out there for us. Do we have to replace existing equipment or software for this?
Ooh, that's a good question. And that's actually, it's good because it's a common roadblock to a lot of technologies is, we have investment in legacy systems, right? And especially in a lot of the manufacturing facilities, we have investment in legacy systems that we have to continue to utilize. And if I have systems that already work within that protocol, like SCADA or MES or LIMS, I don't have to replace those systems because MQTT is designed to integrate with various and mixed technology environments. So it can really extend the value of those existing systems that you already have. So I would say in most cases, if they are already internet connected, they already work within the MQTT protocol, then you do not have to replace them. And this is a protocol that's been around for some time, as well as like SCADA. SCADA is probably one of the longest running LIMS, and then obviously our ERP system. So it's a great question, and I think MQTT will not be a roadblock in that regard. You can definitely use it right up front.
Oh, that's good news. Thank you so much. And it looks like we have time for one more question. So thanks, everybody. I got a third question from L. Mathard. Thank you, L. And the question was, what calibration data can we send using MQTT?
Okay. So why don't we use this in the framework of GAGEtrak? Because I talked about the GAGEtrak calibration management system already has the MQTT in the latest versions. This is available. GAGEtrak's capable of publishing, but really this speaks to also to any calibration system that is able to publish to MQTT. The most common data I think you would see sent through it, let's just say, let's look at gauge information. And with regard to GAGEtrak, if I change a gauge's status, if I change its location, I change its next due date, anything within the framework of that gauge topic, everything is in topics. So anything within the framework of that, I can publish. So I can publish when I change a gauge from inactive to active or active to lost, okay? And I can get that data out instantaneously. Calibration due dates or calibration information like calibration failures, that's a big one. Calibration events where I really need to get like the next due date posted out. Completed calibration events, also extremely useful, or out of tolerance notifications. Those are things that I want to get out with up-to-date information because I have end users out on the manufacturing floor using measurement and test equipment for quality assurance. So that probably is one of the biggest areas that you want to get calibration data out there instant and as quickly as possible. So I think that that's probably the most common topics on that, and that's an excellent question. Thank you for that one.
Outstanding. Thanks to everybody for putting those questions out there. It really helps us get a more well-rounded look at the whole thing. I think that's as much time as we have for questions today, but once again, thanks to everybody for putting those out there for us.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Those are great questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. If you find that you have any additional questions or you'd like a little bit more information or pricing on our MQTT or IIoT products, all you have to do is just contact us at sales@cybermetrics.com. Or you can always get in touch with your dedicated account manager that you've worked with on prior projects. Once again, thank you so much for your time today, Devin. And on behalf of our guests, Devin Ellis and myself, Grant Chastain, and everybody here at CyberMetrics Corporation, thank you guys so much for attending this brief look at MQTT and IIoT. We look forward to having you join us again for future sessions. Devin, anything to say before we sign off?
No, just thank you everybody for attending. We look forward to working with you, and thank you, Grant.
Outstanding. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day.